Okay, folks, welcome to Flip That Contract Coaching Call. Tim Harridge here. If you were with us last week, where I left you off was we talked a lot about a property in Garland that I had just gotten a buy call on last Friday morning. Well, I actually went to that buy call today, and I have now put the house under contract, and I wanted to just basically kind of connect the dots between the process and get you guys caught up with all of the things that happen. So, if I can't organize this, if you remember, and if you haven't watched last week's video, this is the subject property, 1614 Robin in Garland, Texas. And these are the tax rolls here. It, according to the tax rolls, had a tax value of $147,750. Tax rolls say it's about 2,600 square feet with an attached garage of 576 square feet. And what I actually did is I went and walked the house today. The property seems to be approximately 2,200 to 2,300 square feet. I did do some measuring. We'll get into that in a little bit, but we're looking at this house really from the 2,200 square foot perspective. And after driving my comps, if you remember, these were the comps that we looked at last week. And let's see, this is the actual property details. So I feel like this house could be worth in the 130s after you look at these comps. Let me get down here to some of the solds. This was really one of the better comps. Where are we? Patricia Lane was probably the best comp. A couple streets over. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. This house that I purchased today is a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. And as I drove the neighborhood, this was the best comp. So let me. Again, here you have Patricia sold for $125. So I took this dollar per square foot, made some adjustments, and now I'll go over with you how to fill out the SOS, the Smart Offer System worksheet, and how to determine what to offer. So make this update to me. Going to zoom in here to where you guys get a much better view. There. Okay. You got 1614 Robin, Williams Estates, the tax value $147,770. It's an odd number. And I actually went ahead, as far as, since I don't know the exact square footage, we're going to use 2662, but I can tell you, there's another tax source that I use for tax rolls called Realist, and I'll show you what the number that I use based off of their calculations.
Now, where is the discrepancy in the size?
Well, in the last year, it seems like Dallas CAD on their website, it seems like one of the tables may be mapped wrong.
Oh.
Because all properties now, they're showing the gross building square footage and the total living square footage to be the same on almost every property.
Oh, okay.
Even when it states there's a detached garage.
Gotcha.
And, in Realist, it shows that the interior of this house is 2,600 square feet, and it shows that the gross building area is 3,238.
Okay.
And for that neighborhood, that would be a very large house.
Right.
And it has a covered patio that's been enclosed, and I believe that they included some of that into the square footage. Here's the actual building sketch of the property, and this is all living area. Where it says outbuilding here is actually a covered patio, and I think they have that built into the square footage as well. So that would knock it down below 2,400. And what I actually did is I took the 2662 minus the that outbuilding, the 17 times 16.
Mm-hmm.
I ran my numbers on this house at 2,390 square feet. It's a very large house. It's a 4.2.5. It has a very large living, a very large formal, a large kitchen. It's between 2,100 and 2,400 square feet. I ran my ESP numbers, my estimated sale price numbers. I ran those based on 2,200, and I did that mainly because I saw no evidence of any 2,600 square foot houses in the area. And this Patricia house looks a lot, it was just such a solid comp. I basically gave no added value to this, to the extra square footage. I mean, here you have a 2,430 square foot house that, where did it go? This is on Westway, and it's in Williams Third as well. And it was 2,430 square feet, and it recently sold for 125. So,
and every neighborhood has a ceiling, right?
Right.
I mean,
and that's,
it doesn't matter how big the house is. You could put 4,000 square feet, and you're probably only going to get the ceiling. To me, looks like around 130, maybe 140 is the ceiling. You never want to be the exact. I mean, you don't want to be the highest comp, although you might try, but you've got to be somewhat conservative in this day and age. Because appraisers are not going to give you that number. You're not going to get the benefit of the doubt like you did 5 years ago.
Right. So using that number, which I felt very, very safe with, the next thing I did is I went into the ERC. Now, I used $10 a foot. And the reason is this house has very minimal settling. It's a pier and beam, and it has just been taken care of very well. there's just not a whole lot that needs to be done on the house. It's purely a cosmetic, and if you're going to go retail, of course, you got to do nice cosmetics. But it structurally, the roof is a year old, the foundation's in good shape. It's got a sprinkler system, rear entry. There's just a lot of things going for this house. It even has new garage doors, so it just doesn't need that much rehab. So I went ahead and used $10 a foot.
Even though it was a what, 1960 house?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because, well, and before I went out there, Tim, I would have said it's probably $15 a square foot.
And that's what I was expecting.
But there are some times where people have updated it, and it has certain amenities like the sprinkler system and minimal settlement and a year-old roof. I mean, there's going to be chances that on rare occurrences that you will adjust downward on your rehab.
Yeah, in this house, I mean, even when it was re-roofed, it was redecked. The central heat and air is 3 to 5 years old. The water heater was a new water heater in '03. It has a 5-ton train system.
You're not used to buying these. This is somewhat, you're not used to buying these type of houses that have so many new systems, and it was to a degree taken care of in preventive maintenance and updated throughout the years.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that? Most of them are dilapidated and haven't been worked on or haven't been touched, for a lot of years.
Yeah, this house was special.
Yeah.
It literally, I'm thinking about turning this into a rental, or I can tell you that I can sell it to a landlord investor. And this house, for a landlord investor in that part of Garland, they'll probably spend 10 grand. Changing carpet, painting, fixtures, that kind of stuff. It's just a clean, solid house. Again, George, as you and I have always said, you don't ever go below $10 a foot unless it's been updated. And this house it was not updated, but it was maintained very well.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually need to print this. So then I use my $10 a foot. This is for buy closing cost. That's what it's going to, if I sell it to an investor that's getting bank financing, that's about what his closing costs are going to be, and I'm assigning the title policy over to him. That would be the investor's soft cost. There's agent commissions, 4 months of real estate taxes, closing costs when the investor sells it. The investor wants to make 20 grand. The most I'd be able to wholesale it for would be $64,600. And I actually went out today and put this house under contract for $60,000. So depending on how the investor runs a number, and that's, George, one thing that we always say, we can't control how other investors run their numbers.
Yeah.
We can only use our approach. Most investors are probably going to value this house around $135, even if they just go straight off of CMA. And at $135, this is the deal just gets better and better. Again, when we put houses under contract in the FTC model, it's very important that we are conservative across the board. And conversely, when you go to wholesale the property, you don't want to get too unconservative. You don't want to put out junk, because just last night at a Lifestyles Unlimited function, I was honored by as part of their case study, because I wholesaled the house to the gentleman presenting the case study, and they gave me credit that the numbers I presented them were spot on. And you can't get a better testimony than that. And I get calls once a week, at least, from people saying, "Hey, I got your name from so and so, and they said that you're a good one of the good wholesalers to work with. How do I get on your list?" And that's very powerful. So again, this is just, I wanted to real quick follow up on this deal that we ran the numbers on last week.
Well, let me one other thing before you close out that screen, Tim, is I was talking to someone today about packaging and promoting and stuff, and if you presented this to me, or as far as packaging, this should be to a degree incorporated. Maybe not what the prospector wants and max offer for. You say that you got the property under contract. You've got it under contract for 60. And at the end of the day, if you presented this to me, I see your numbers, and that's what I love about this is, to put this and to print this out, Tim, and put this along with your packet. You've got the appraisal district, you've got a video, you've got your SOS. I mean, that shows me that you've thought this thing through,
Right.
And you've answered a lot of the questions. You're thinking like an investor, even though you're just trying to wholesale this. You're thinking like an investor, and that's what I think everybody on the call needs to understand is, I see that you're thinking like me, and I'm looking at your numbers, and you're not trying to hide anything. And I mean, you've got the comps. You put together your pop, and I think they all need to have this SOS as part of it to show them that we've got 6% for commissions, 2% for holding costs. You got buying costs is $2,500. I mean, to me, I could shave off a little bit on that because I'm a licensed agent, but I could make it for 4% or 3% because if I were to buy this house, it wouldn't cost me. But you're thinking. Well, that's one of the things I had wrong in my SOS when you looked at it is I had 4% or 3% in there, and you're like, that's one of the things you changed on my SOS was.
Well, and the students that have a copy of this should remember that there are 2 tabs. So, and tab 2 automatically updates based off what we put on tab 1, and so here you see. So, it's all about knowing your investor. Here you see someone like George with this same $20,000 profit. Tab 2 tells me that George can pay me 69 for this house instead of 64.
Yeah. Because
George pays less in escrow. George pays less in commissions, and that's where you've just got to understand your investor. And so, George, you're talking about including this in the marketing material, and this is a good segue. What I like to do is I just go in here and hide the cell that says prospector wants.
Yeah.
And then I always mess around with the page breaks just to get it onto one page. But then using the PDF 995 software, I just come in here, select PDF 995, and this is a nice clean spreadsheet, and I can print it out.
Yep. And you're going to do the same thing with your DCAD. You're going to print out your DCAD. You're going to print out your comps, and you create all of those as a PDF file, Tim. And then what you do is you'd use PDF combine, and you would combine all of those things into one pop, and that's where you'd call it the 1614 Robin Lane Garland pop. And it has, that's the thing is, now you have one 10-page or anywhere from a 5 to 10-page PDF file that I can review. I've got, I've got the DCAD, I've got the comps, I've got the SOS sheet. What else? And then you could load that onto your Box.net account, And and like we talked about, you just share the link, and that's really what. Now I've got a one-pager that it's got pretty much everything I need, and all I need to do is, Tim, you give me 2 links. One link is for your box.net, which may have pictures, may not, but at least it has the pop in there. And number 2 is you give me a link for the video. If you were able to videotape or video the property, and boom, you send that, you put that on an email and blast that out to your users, you're going to get some participation. One thing I like about box.net, Tim, is when somebody opens it or looks at my file, it tells me. So I'm like, ding, ding, ding. So another person or someone's opened up.
George, you disappeared.
All right, am I back?
You are back.
No, that's it. I think it's just having consistency, and the one thing is that what I like is I like dealing with people that are thinking like me and that are running the numbers the correct way and lay it all out for me. And a seasoned investor, it doesn't take a seasoned investor long to look at that and know that that deal's got legs.
Exactly. So in the time it took you to talk, I already had all my comps. And you said PDF combined?
Yeah. It's by the same people that do PDF 995. And I just saved that. If you go to pdf995.com, it will there's another app that you can go to pdf995.com. And I think I'm trying to look. There's 2 of them. Click on download now. Yeah, click on downloads. Maybe it's a different, maybe it's go to pdfcombine.com. I think this was it. It's a freeware. Maybe this isn't it. Let me see. I've got it on mine, and I'm just trying to see. Yeah. It's under PDF Combine, and I'm on it right now, and it's buy now, download. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I did. Maybe I guess it's not. I swear it was. It was under the just go to Google and put in PDF Combine.
Well, I mean, this webpage just did it for me. Now I just did that webpage. All I had to do was upload the files, and it just did it.
Okay.
So now I've got my CMA, my tax rolls.
There you go.
The full property reports.
Yeah.
And the SOS. It's all right there. And so now I would just have to do my complete my the property overview packet, include that in there, and now in one file, I've got everything.
Yeah. Oh, so is that what that just did?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's what it was. You can donate, but it's freeware. So y'all need to kind of use, the PDF 995 to create them, and then PDF Combine. I think there's an applet that you can do it on your computer as well. So anyway, don't overcomplicate it. But at the end of the day, I've just got an email, Tim, from one of my, I sent out 400 postcards for the pre-foreclosures.
Yeah.
And I got an email. One of the things is I've got that this one was it's a property in Allen in Twin Creeks, and basically what the numbers were, it was on 1426 Quanah Court, and they called me because of the postcard. And what this was is trying to assign a deal that doesn't have, I don't want to get off subject, so you just tell me if we have time for this, but basically the lady, it was a $275,000 house, and it's posted for the October 4th auction, and they owe about $225. So, when I run it in the SOS, basically my max price, or my MAO, my maximum allowable offer, would be around 190, and you're gonna find this, guys, that they're not interested in looking at a 190 offer. But what I did is I got the numbers. I just got all the numbers back from her on what it's going to take to reinstate this loan, and what it's going to take to pay off the loan and things like that. And what I'm looking to do is get this property under contract. She's supposed to sign it tomorrow, where I'm going to give her $2,000 at closing and reinstate her loan. And what I want you guys to understand is, there's two ways of offering, or two ways of buying real estate. Making offers based on price, or making offers based on terms, and this would definitely fall under the category of a terms offer, because what I'm looking to do is reinstate her loan, which is around $12,000 to reinstate the loan, give her $2,000, and then I'm going to find an owner occupant that has $15,000 to $20,000, and more like $20,000, guys. I mean, you're talking about possibly making $5,000 to $10,000, Tim, on Robin, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And what I'm looking to do is try to make $5,000 to $10,000 on this deal as well. I've got to package up this deal somewhat like you have, and show an owner occupant who wants to live in an exemplary school district, in a great subdivision, and on the west side of Allen, and they don't have to get financing to buy it. And so what I have to do is I have to come out of pocket basically $15,000 to buy this property. But if I just wanted to assign it, I've got to try to find somebody. If you have enough time, I've got to find somebody that has $20,000 to put down as a down payment. And what I've gotten back from her is the monthly payment's $2,500. So I've got this property under contract, or I'm going to get it under contract tomorrow. She just emailed me and said, come on over. And what I'm going to most likely do is have to reinstate this loan, because we only have about 10 days. But what I'm also going to do is put it on Craigslist and put a sign in the yard that says, for sale, owner will finance. And when I get the calls, I'm going to say, guys, I have this property under contract. The monthly payment is $2,500, and I'm looking for 7 to 10% down based on your credit. I mean, depending on your credit, it might be 10%. Well, I'm going to sell this property for essentially, they're going to take over the $225 mortgage and take over the $2,500 payments. And what I'm going to do is get my $15,000 back and try to make $5,000 to $10,000 on top. So I need $25,000 from a buyer. And it's a way to, get in the game, and you guys could certainly do the same thing that I'm doing. I'm just debating whether I want to owner finance this and make a little bit more money over the long haul and sell it for more money, or just assign the contract. What I am writing tomorrow is that I'm going to give you $2,000, and I'm going to reinstate the loan. If you have enough time, you give yourself 20 days to find that owner occupant that has $20,000 or $25,000 to put down as a down payment. And this is a nicer house, guys, that doesn't need any major repairs to get this thing sold. I mean, yes, cosmetically, I don't like the colors, but bottom line is it's a great way for me, in this case, to make some money as an investor. But I could do the same thing if I had enough time, and that's one thing with pre-foreclosures is I'm running up against the auction, and so we've got to most likely, if I were just a wholesaler, I'd most likely have to find an investor who I could sell this to and make a little bit less. But still, it's a great way for you guys to make $3,000 to $5,000 and just assign this possibly to an owner or an investor, and make a little bit less money. But if it's not a pre-foreclosure, it's the same concept. Tie this property up, get it under contract, and give yourself 30 days to shop it around and before you have to close, and you'll make a lot more money on this. So does anybody have any questions on that, or are we going to do that at the end, Tim?
I think this is a good time for questions. One question: are these webinar settings, George? Are you able to see the questions this time?
Let me see. Yeah. I'm going to try to pull it out so I can see them. Yeah. All right. I got it. Looks like they're going to make you pay for it. What?
Yeah, not Rustin. Read the one from Brian.
All right. How long do you own the house for? On this let's just. I'm trying to think of this as from Brian, if this were you and you didn't want to come out of pocket the $15,000, right? The $12,000 that's going to take to reinstate the loan, the $2,000 that you have to give the homeowner at closing. You don't have to give that until you close. You need to put a full court press on marketing this property on Craigslist, and you want to write in your contract, Brian, that you have the right to get access to this property, during normal business hours, or, Monday through Sunday, or 7 days a week, and you have the right to market this property and put a sign in the yard. So you got to do a full court press on promoting this deal before the auction. I mean, we've got 10 days before the auction, and your goal, Brian, is to find a consumer that wants to live in Twin Creeks. And so you've got to put it on Craigslist and put a sign in the yard that says for sale, owner will finance, 10% down, or you could put 7 to 10% down and take over the payments. That's going to be a lot more attractive besides the RE/MAX sign that's your next door neighbor. They've got the house for sale. Your sign basically says owner will finance, take over payments, 7 to 10% down. You get the call and you just let them know, hey, the monthly payments are $2,500, but you've only got really 9 days to get this deal done because of the pending or looming foreclosure sale. So I don't own it at any point, Brian. I just have it under contract. Okay. If it weren't in pre-foreclosure, then you're still not going to own it, but you have more time to do your promoting and your marketing of that property. But there might be an investor, Brian, that calls you, but I really believe that this is going to be. You could package this thing up, Brian, and bring it to to someone like Tim or myself, and say, hey, I've got this deal under contract. It's going to take $15,000. And show me how I'm going to make money. I mean, show me. One way is to, basically you could wrap the loan, sell this property. I could come out of pocket as an investor, Brian. You want to show me how would I make money by doing this transaction. If you can show me that and it makes sense, I would do the deal. But in what kind of return am I going to get on my $15,000 investment? To me, what I most likely am going to do is be the investor, and I'm going to come out of pocket $15,000 and take over the $2,500 mortgage payment. And I am going to try to find an owner-occupant that's willing to pay $2,800 a month, and this house will sell with owner financing for $275. Does that make sense, guys? I mean, the value of this house right now is, probably $260, but if you offer it with owner financing, Tim, I think it's worth $275, just because people are, the financing is in place. And so what I'm looking to do is come out of pocket $15,000 to get to own this property, Brian, and I'm going to take it in my name, and then I'm going to put the sign in the yard and the ad in Craigslist and say, hey, the property is $2,800 a month, so I make $300 positive cash flow on this, and I'm going to try to get 10% down, which would be $27,000. And Brian, that way I get all of my money back, the $15,000 I invested. I make money when I sell it. I make money every month. And what is the math? If I sell it for $275, right, minus, let's just say $25,000, okay? The note would be $250, wouldn't it? And so there is a note. I would create a note on this property, and the seller, or excuse me, the buyer would be paying down at $2,800 a month, be paying down the $250,000 note. And I would put in there that they have to refinance in 3 years or less. And so in 3 years or less, what's the difference between 220, really it's 215, because once I reinstate the loan, 10,000 of the 225 is going to reinstatement. So the difference between 215 and 250 is what I get when they refinance this house 3 years from now. So it's kind of the trifecta: money now, money every month, and money at the end.
Gene, you asked you're having trouble figuring out the total investment number. Which total investment number? I don't follow. While Gene's doing that, anybody else have any other questions before we move on? Okay. Oh, at the bottom of the SOS? Okay. This total investment number at the bottom of the SOS, and let me get my spotlight. Okay, so this total number is the sum of the estimated rehab, all the closing costs, the commissions, the carry cost, and then this maximum sales price, which this maximum sales price, guys, is really what you can sell to an investor for. Does that make sense? What you're saying is, if the investor pays you this, and then, wait, let me back it up. If the investor spends all of this money, which all of these total to $40,300, and then, did I highlight the profit? Okay, the investor is going to spend all this money. Hang on, I'm trying to figure out this formula real quick. Okay, that's right, because it's not sales cost, because he doesn't have to actually come out of pocket for that. Okay, so these are the only out-of-pocket expenses, these three columns, or these three fields, I should say. You've got this field, the estimated rehab, that is going to be out-of-pocket money. The purchase closing costs are out-of-pocket money. Now, they may borrow it from a lender or borrow it from friends or family, but it's an actual expense. It's not a cost of a good sold. All of these soft costs, these are going to be out-of-pocket expenses. And then the purchase price of the house is an out-of-pocket expense. Does that make sense, Gene? So this total investment here is the sum of the max sales price, the soft cost, the closing cost, and the estimated rehab cost, because those are the costs. These other items, real estate commissions, it's variable. It's only paid when it's sold. So it's not an actual cost. It's a cost of the sale, not a cost of the investment. Because it's a negotiable fee, too. I mean, you may sell it by owner and pay no commission. You've got 4 months of real estate taxes. Those aren't paid monthly. Those are paid when you sell the house, or if you have own it too long, then they're paid. Then they become an out-of-pocket expense. And then the selling cost, that's, again, a cost associated with the sale. So this return on the investment is the $20,000 divided by this number. Joe, the Patricia house actually sold for $125, not $127. Go over how you got your 120 ESP again. Okay. This is the part of real estate that is very difficult to teach. But it's difficult to teach just because most of you on this call are not willing to trust yourself. And I know that sounds just crazy and cliches, but most of you, the vast majority of you, have good intuition and and the ability to have what I call gut feelings. And a lot of times there is data to support the conclusions you draw, but a lot of times you have to go off gut. And the gut is really just nothing more than common sense, and the conclusion you're reaching mentally is the combination of your common sense and the data that you have. So we're just going to back up, and I'm going to take you inside to pull some comps. You still with me, Betty? All right, so I'm getting in here. I'm going to start pulling my comps. I just like to come in here to the locator. Now, it's a little bit easier to pull comps by map once you've actually been in the neighborhood, because I know which streets I'm going to use as comparisons and which ones I'm not, because I was over there this morning.
Did you take off any money?
For what?
Because of, is this property pretty close to Shiloh? Or is it, you think it's far enough away where the road noise and all that isn't going to really affect the values?
You know, that's a good question, George. I think I subconsciously took some off for it, because from the front yard you can see Shiloh. I mean, it's not
on the corner, but
it's not on the corner. It's 4 or 5 houses in.
Yeah.
It's very
I would say if it's 4 to 5. If it's the second one, I would probably take off, a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't the second one. No, it was I think it's 4, maybe 5 houses in. I mean, from the sidewalk you could look and see Shiloh, but from the front porch you couldn't.
Yeah.
So it is kind of on the outskirts of the neighborhood, but it wasn't. You know, I didn't give it a paper verbatim. Betty,
Yeah.
this screen is the reason that I didn't feel comfortable going over 125 as my planning number. Because if you noticed, in this neighborhood, 2,000 square foot houses sell for the same price 2,400 square foot houses sell for.
And he's basically right on the ceiling. I mean, you know, it's just showing you, hey, 2,000. Well, I say that maybe there's something that's sold because you put in what, 2,000 to what, 2,400, or you just put a minimum of 2,000 square feet.
I went 2,000 to 2,800.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
but you got 3 solid comps there.
yeah. I mean,
if you can get 3 solid comps,
you know, and you can take that square footage out.
and now you got 20, 30. Yeah, but those aren't like kind.
So I mean, you've got this one on Patton. It's a 4, 2.5, 2 with a pool, sold for 170, 2,900 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't use that. So still, you're still left with these 3.
Yeah.
And aesthetically, from the street, all 3 of these look, I mean, are just spot on as far as the street scene, the construction of the house. They're all rear entry garages. I mean, they're identical. I mean, they are comparable properties. So 1614 Robin is a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. And I'm going to call it a 2,300 square foot house. And I could have measured it. I didn't measure it because really and truly, the data that I had in my truck with me today, guys, told me that it didn't matter if it was a 2,200 square foot house or a 2,600 square foot house. There seems to be an artificial ceiling in the neighborhood of what things are selling for. Now, people may be trying to get more because, it was on the tax rolls for 147, but I always tell sellers that's the difference between me and a lot of people. You know, a realtor can tell you, I can get you a blank, but, you know, my deal is I will give you. And there's a big difference between I can get you and I will give you. And at the end of the day, I mean, 130 may be as high as you can go on this house. If you average everything out with these 3 solid comps. I mean, given that, but you see, it's adding extra dollars into the price because even 2,300 is above the average square foot. And that's just, I've told you guys this multiple times, but you just got to be real careful when you're in a neighborhood and you've got a house that's larger than the average. You've got to be real careful. So, you know, you've got this one at $62 a foot, but here you got 51 and 58. And so then the next thing I did, I'm going to print this again. Drop it in my file. I love PDF 995. Sure does make life easy.
It does. Show them again what you did. You know, click on save that. You know, but you've got all the different ones, and you can, you know, which you saw that on his thing. He had SOS, he had appraisal district, he had all these different files under one under the directory of.
See, I use Dropbox because then everything syncs. And it came in real handy last night at the meeting I was at because, see, I can go into Dropbox. I've got all these different folders, Expo, FTC, all that, but then I've got working. This working folder is for the houses that I am working right now. Either I've got them under contract or I've got appointments. And so here you have Robin. I've got this folder for Robin. And in this folder, I've got the CMA, the new CMA, I've got the tax rolls, I've got the full property detail report, and I've got the SOS. All bundled up in there. And I'm actually getting ready to, George, you caught me at a good time because I needed to repull these comps and make sure that because I do it one way when I'm getting ready to go look at the house, because I don't need all the data with me, but when I'm getting it ready to package it and sell it to an investor, they may need more data than me. So I like to go back in and repull it, and that way it is in a truly professional appearance.
And you can call them detailed comp report, or?
Yeah, I just put a number 2 out next to it.
Okay.
It just reminds me it's the second version. And at the end of the day, I mean, I want to make sure I'm putting out good stuff. So, so we're done with that. And something else I was going to show. Oh, I just had the full report up. When you read this, it's always important. And let me see if I can get this highlighter out. Okay, well maintained. That's not a phrase I look for. This looks like it had an add-on or something because it was upstairs. You always just want to check, make sure there's not any as-is verbiage in these comps. In this case, there's not. So then I'm going to go to the next one. And this says maintained interior. I don't really like that, but it's all I had to go off of. Rich paneling, that means it wasn't really upgraded. Screened-in porch. Mine has a screened-in porch. I've got an RV parking pad, sprinkler system. Home show's great, very well maintained. Oh, sorry guys, I forgot to turn off my phone. There. So I mean, this isn't a great comp. I mean, and it's what tells me that a well remodeled house in this neighborhood could go for more. But your job as a buyer isn't to pay people the most possible. Your job as a buyer is to pay people as little as possible, within reason. But then when I read this house's description, it really told me enough to where there might be a ceiling, and this might be a neighborhood that if you can over update and still not get the money back out. Because here you see updated 4-bedroom, 2,400 square foot, patio with French doors. Kitchen upgrades include built-in oven, microwave, solid cooktop, split bedroom behind kitchen with private bath, AC upgraded, new roof, most windows replaced with double pane pull out. I mean, that's expensive on a $2,400 house. And when you're reading all this, it's just new kitchen floor in 2011, new dishwasher in 2011. And still,
basically, some rehabber went in there. Scroll back up. Look at what they started at. They were trying to. Well,
it says this is a reload.
Really?
Owner transferred. Owner transferred easy possession. Yeah, they started out at 162, and then it was listed for 139 when they finally accepted 125 and paid $3,600 in closing costs.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, hey, do I have a house that could be worth more than 125? Yeah. Do I think it is right now? No.
But you feel comfortable that whoever buys it has bought a property after they renovate it or after they rehab it that's worth 125.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
I feel really good that if a landlord buys it in 3 or 4 years, I think this house in this neighborhood, because it's a really nice neighborhood, I think it will be back up into the 140s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's my opinion, based off the feeling that I got while I was in the neighborhood.
The only thing that you should probably do is maybe give the investor, what are the lease comps going for? Are they going for $1,000? Are they going for $1,200? What does your gut tell you that this property would probably lease for?
I feel $1,250, $1,250, $1,300. The one that I own on Robin down the street. Sorry, I just got distracted. Let's see. The one I own down the street, I get $1,150 a month for it, and it's only a 3.2.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty good about it. So we'll
an extra 100.
Yeah.
An extra room. Yeah.
Well, and it's such a larger house. So we'll just go a mile out. So there's one pending 2,600 square foot house. See at 1195. And see, they're just let's take this down to 1,500 and see what we get. Okay. So here's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath that 1,623 square feet that got $1,250, and here's a 2,600 that's pending at 1195. Here's a 1,700 pending at 1,250. It's not a whole lot of data, but there's nothing. I mean, that's all statuses though, so there's just not much activity within a mile of there.
Yeah.
Which is good. I mean, when you see one active and 2 pendings and 1 leased, that's a good ratio for supply and demand.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see. I'll go ahead and print this while I'm at it. Yeah, it comes in handy to create these little subfolders for all your documentation when you're getting ready to put out your pot. Let's go back. Hit the little CMA button again. Sometimes this thing moves slow. Okay. Tim, did you say what the East Grawwaller was worth? No, I have not said that yet. Linda, yes, it will be posted to the YouTube channel. You want to talk about the one on Ivy Way. What do you want to talk about Ivy Way? Maybe I don't understand. You want to buy it from me, maybe? Okay. Anybody, any of the students have any other questions? Okay. Well, as a psychiatrist would say, that concludes our hour. Anybody got any questions, parting shots? Okay, if you get any questions, anything you want to talk to me about personally, you can send me an email to tim@flipthatcontract.com. If you've got general questions about the program, uh, funny, Joe, email edu@flipthatcontract.com. And you can, again, check out all of our coaching, a lot of our content on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/flipthatcontract. Until next Friday at 1, I'm Tim Harridge.
And I'm George Roddy. Hey, hold on one second.
Oh,
I know I'm working. Give me the screen for 1 second.
Stand by. Make presenter. Yes, I'm sure.
All right. I was just on real yields. Hold on. Right here. What do you think the taxes are? What are the taxes on this property, on Robin?
It's taxed at 147. It doesn't matter. You'll be able to get it protested down to 65.
All right. So let's just say 100.
Yeah.
So that's 2,500, right? You see my screen right here?
Yeah.
So basically I went into real yields to run my numbers, because this is what you could put out as well. Let's say the purchase price was 65, and you said that you think, let's say I put in 15,000. You think 15,000 would get this thing in really good? I mean, what do you think it would take me to get it in rental shape? It's got a new roof, somewhat new HVAC, foundation's minimal. 12?
I mean, me, it would be 10, but I know you like to spend money.
Well, I mean, not when I have to, but I'm going to put in 12. What I'm looking at is if someone bought this property, the estimated value is 125. They pay 65, then $12,000. They take out a loan, put 20% down. Their closing costs are going to be what, 2%?
Yeah.
So let's just put 1,300. Y'all see that right here? And then I go to my investment strategy. I put in $1,250 for monthly rents. I put 0 for inflation. That I just don't say that it's going to go up every year in rent. Vacancy, 5%. Time to rent, let's put 2 months. What do you think? What do you think it would take to rent this property out?
Yeah, call it 2 months.
All right. You got taxes, insurance, management fee. You could take that out or leave that in. Repairs. Right over here is what your cash flow looks like. You know, and right here is a cap rate. So this kind of tells me how to analyze this. Is this something worth pursuing? And I think, you know, looking at my revenue that this probably could push off, and looking at, you know, my cash on cash returns is what? 15 year one, right? Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. You just came up and said we're having technical difficulties, and 21% year 2, and I just put in 7 years. In 7 years, you look at reselling it. You know, you've got your revenue, but to me, that's what I would plug in as a buy and hold investor, is just kind of looking at these charts. But I think this could work either way. You know, either make 20,000 on a flip, or cash flow it and make a 15% return the first year and 20% return years 2 through 7. And that's, again, taking into account that you only have, I'm going to estimate that every year I'm going to count, you know, that we've got 5% vacancy, because, you know, over 7 years it's not going to be rented most likely to the same person. But I could put in 10% vacancy, which I think is high in this day and age, but still, you know, I come here to the Analyze tool. Even if I put in 10% vacancy, I got 5% for repairs. I come in here on cash, and so 15 to 18%. I could update this listing and put this as and share this as a tool, and you can draw it up and basically, you know, put this in your pop as well. Just FYI. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can kind of show them the numbers. Hey, even from a rent perspective, what are you looking for? Buy and hold, or a buy and fix and flip? Because you know, I think there's a big play. It looks like they're going to make you pay for it after a while, though. Who's that? I don't know what the question was, but
I got it.
okay. Are there any questions on that?
Okay. Lamont, shoot me an email offline. Okay, guys, I got to run and I got to stop the recording and end the webinar.
All right, bye.
George, you got anything else?
No, that's it.
You sure?
Hold on. No, have a wonderful weekend. That's what I wanted to say, Tim.
You see, I knew there was something else. Good luck to your football game tomorrow, and
Yes.
you guys have a great weekend.
All right.